Hello. I've been watching documentary films and I want people that have criminal minds. Some people they have criminal minds and they are not aware about it at all. They just act out their criminal activities on innocent beings, and my question is to them is, can you sit down in meditation and can you drop for a moment all the social pressures and the story of other people and the social norms and the social requests and this pressure on everyone to fit in and be exactly like society? Can you drop that for a moment? Can you drop this shame and the pride and the arrogance for a moment and just sit down in meditation? Okay, so is it possible for you to do? Yes, it is. Of course it's possible for you. I can do it. I sit here on this couch and I go into meditation. I breathe. Of course it's possible. You can do it too. The only thing that will be in resistance towards that will be the psychological defense mechanism, which is the ego, which is this incessant inner voice that says you must behave like this if you want to fit into this image and so on. So can you drop that inner voice? Can you completely settle that inner voice for a moment and say, inner voice, stop right now. I'm gonna sit down here. No matter what I feel, no matter what's going on. Okay? Can you do that? You sit down, you breathe, you say to yourself, I can sit down here and breathe and just allow the emotions to be the way they are. Okay. I allow my resistance also without resistance. So you just sit there, you can have this feeling of resistance towards the meditation. Sit with that too, okay? Just sit down with it. That's very easy. Very easy to do. You just sit down and you breathe. You do this for an hour. And don't act anything out. Okay? You can cry, you can sob. You could also scream into a pillow if you have a pillow next to you, but don't act out anger on anyone else. Don't act your anger out on any living being. Don't act out your anger on any animal or child or adult. Okay. Just sit there, breathe. This is where the healing begins. Okay. Sit there and you breathe and you don't act it out. You don't write something mean to someone. Don't act it out on anyone. Don't go for anyone. Stop the predatory behavior, the troll behavior, the hater behavior. Stop this feeling, these feelings, or not the feelings, but the act outs. Stop the act out of unempowerment, of someone owing you something, entitlement. Sit with it. and don't act it out. Sit with that feeling. Breathe into it. Breathe into it. Drop your shoulders. Breathe deeply into that feeling without doing anything about it. Just allow it to be. Allow yourself to be that living being that you are. The precious living being that you are, you know. Just allow that. Can you allow that? Allow yourself to be. You just are, okay? You sit there, you breathe, and you don't have to do anything about it. You don't have to be a predator. You don't have to be arrogant. You don't have to be mean to anyone. It's a tremendous relief. You just sit there and you breathe. Let your dogs bark and your children cry or play or be wild. Let your children have a good time. Let the dogs have a good time. If you have a wife who's cheating on you, you know, allow it. Okay? This is not against you personally. I don't even call it cheating because of that. I'm just using that word to make myself to use this as language, as communication, in order to describe something, to explain something. So if your wife has some other guy, then, you know, if you can't wish her well, sit with this feeling of whatever comes up without acting it out, without killing them. What happens if you don't kill them? What happens? Does this hurt your honor or something? This whole word honor needs to be recycled. It needs to be thrown in the recycling bin, in the compost. It needs to be decomposed into something else, into something better. Honor. This entire concept and this word needs to be thrown out. Needs to be recycled. We cannot have that anymore. Honor. What a horrible, horrible, horrible word. And what that word has done to other living beings. What that word, honor, and pride, pride is more like it describes that state. The word honor actually is much worse than the word pride, because the word honor is a word that actually the word itself wants to justify that action. That's an honor. No. Okay, honor implies everything that's wrong with the human brain, with the function of the human brain. Right? Honor killings. Okay, think about that for a moment. Okay. Pride act outs, retaliation, getting even. Yeah. All of this comes from honor, from this mental state of pride, arrogance, honor, saving face. All of this is mental sickness. Okay. It's pathology. They disrespected you. No, they didn't. But that's what a lot of men think when someone else is just having a good time. They disrespected him. Okay, this is the common denominator that I see throughout all of these documentary films that I have been watching and observing people throughout my life. Yeah. My grandfather, yeah, it's a perfect example of this. It's all about pride. It's all about this honor thing. Prestige. It's a sickness. Okay, and it has to go. It has to be recycled. And that's the healing process if you can recycle honor. The entire military system is based on this false idea. The military should only be there for one thing only, and that is absolute emergency self-defense. Just like police enforcement, law enforcement, it should be there for absolute emergency defense of an innocent living being. Never a preemptive, deliberate offense as during George W. Bush and Dick Cheney. And who knows what they did or what they all did during the Obama administration. I heard terrible things. Julian Assange uncovered some horrific atrocities which were first, originally documented, seen and documented by Chelsea Manning, who reported it to Julian Assange, not knowing where to go with that stuff, with that horrible information. But obviously, both Chelsea Manning and Julian Assange have a huge heart and compassion, and they can't just sit with something like this and ignore it. They can't just toss it in the trash can and say, oh, I haven't seen it. Once you have seen something, you can't pretend you haven't seen it. Only people that have no heart, that have no compassion do this. They go into a state of denial. They become enablers. And that's the vast majority of humans. So, again, I'm asking the question, is it possible for criminals and enablers and people who go into denial and all of these people, is it possible to go into meditation and allow the thoughts to come up and the emotions and the fears and the tension and all of this, and breathe with it and allow yourself to see that other living being for the first time as having the birthright of a good life, of love, of unconditional love and touch and kindness. Okay. And that's when things start to heal. Okay.